Before he could say anything, he started crying, and I ain't never seen him cry before. You being the dad that you are, and you're not in the streets, you know, it made me want to change. And if you didn't go to prison, nobody ever gonna take you serious.
Yeah.
Like, you had to go to prison. Like, you had to be in the streets. You had to sell drugs. Like, you had to play the devil's game to get respect in the neighborhood. It's peace. My given name was Gabriel. My Muslim name Jabril. I was born and raised 3 blocks from the Masjid on West Street, and I'm from Utica, New York. Mom and dad in the house. Mom worked 2 jobs. Religion was never in the household. My dad was, I would say, an alcoholic. I believed that there was a higher power, but did I believe in the man that I seen on the cross? Not at all. I just felt like you praying to somebody who looked like there's in the worst pain that you ever be in, and that's what y'all praying to. So it was just something I never really got into. I never read the Bible. I knew it was some form of religious in my mom's household when she was a kid, because they named me after Gabriel from the Bible. But was I ever taught who Gabriel was, anything about the Bible? Never. Growing up, a lot of the corner stores in the neighborhood was, in my era, was nothing but Arabs. So I used to go inside the corner store, regular order food, stuff like that. The corner store was to hang out. And one day I sat in there and I was talking to the dude in the corner store named Wally. And I used to ask him, you know, after all the stuff you've been through, because you in America, so you left your country because of war, why are you so happy? Well, like, what makes you smile? Things like that. And he used to be like, you know, inshallah, like, I leave everything to God. And we just talked about Islam. Then I would leave the store and I would go outside, and it's the lifestyle outside. You know, you got street stuff. You know, we had drugs, violence, stuff like that. I remember it was a dude in prison, and he came home and he was Muslim. And I knew who he was before he went to prison. He was really involved in the street life. And when he came home, you know, he was different. So I seen what Islam, how it changed him. So it still didn't push me towards Islam, but it made me think where people can change. So I was about 16 years old, and I got into some stuff, and I got locked up. So while I was locked up, it was a couple of kids in there, because we was kids, and they was going to prison. So a lot of them was trying to turn Muslim before they went to prison. And my situation, I didn't know what was going to be the outcome. You know, I didn't know if I was going that route or if they was going to let me out. I didn't know what it was. But I knew that at the same time, I'm seeing that a lot of these brothers, kids in here is trying to become Muslim because they scared. You know, so I always told myself, like, nah, I'm not doing it. As far as drinking on the corner, hanging out. And mind you, at this time, I'm only about 16 years old, so I'm still a kid myself. So I kind of fell back and was like, oh, they just like a lot of other religions. March 23rd of 2012, I became a father. And I feel like me becoming a dad, I just needed something different for her. You know, at the same time, I didn't want her to see the lifestyle that I grew up, or, you know, had the dad who's always drunk. So I wanted something different. Still didn't think it was Islam that I needed. So time went by. About September 6th of 2012. I woke up and I don't know what it was. You know, I don't know what made me want to do it, what made me want to take the steps, but I needed something different. At this point, I know I need something different, because if not, I'm going to be involved in other things. And I need faith. I need something to believe in, because at this time, like, I don't believe in anything but money. And I walked from West Street to Kemba Street to the mosque. And when I got to the mosque, the door was open. I went in, and I didn't take off my shoes. I didn't know anything, you know, about taking off your shoes. And I went in there. It was a brother in there named Brother Sabor, older guy, and he was vacuuming the floor. So he asked me, he says, what can I help you with? And I told him, I says, I want to take my shahada. So right then and there, I repeated after him, and I took my shahada, September 6th, 2012. So I went up the street, whatever, and I remember my dad was cutting the grass. What you doing? And I was like, I became Muslim. And he was like, okay. So I went in the house. My mom, she's crazy. I walked in and she was like, can I help you? Like, what made you want to do this? I was like, Mom, I need something different, you know? And she told me, if it makes you happy, then you do what you got to do. But don't get into something if you're not willing to go all the way. Cousin Eric. So he's my cousin, but it's more like my brother. Probably 2-3 years ago, I was at home and there was a knock at the door. So I went to the door and it was my cousin. before he could say anything, he started crying. And I ain't never seen my cousin cry before. You being the dad that you are, and you're not in the streets, and I know that a lot of that is because you're a Muslim and you try to do better, you know. It made me want to change. And I'm like, you want to turn Muslim? And he was like, I already did. And I cried because at the same time, it was like, I didn't think that the things I do around my cousin would ever take effect on his life. It was more of his life was taking effect on me growing up. Cousin went to prison. I want to go to prison. And my brother went to prison as a kid in our neighborhood. Then if you didn't go to prison, nobody ever gonna take you serious. Yeah. Like, you had to go to prison. Like, you had to be in the streets. You had to sell drugs. Like, you had to play the devil's game to get respect in the neighborhood. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be no parts of that. So yeah, my cousin, he took his shahada. It's peace.